Shalom Israel, giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem Rakakadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, double honors to the apostles, elders, great millstone, must all teach to the brothers, teaching word for the hope for elect, soon to be the elect, most high will, to the extended hope for elect, Shalom blessings. Fairly quick video. I'm gonna call this Don't Live With Her, meaning, the woman, so-called black woman, I know some brothers are already married, and families, and especially if you're young and you're knowing the truth and that hasn't happened yet, it's better not to. Now this is a little clip. Yeah, I think it's on. It says black husband caught cheating with white girl in McDonald's. This sounds like New York. Now, she called him a bitch, which is highly disrespectful. And, another thing too, the average man, they have to learn just to, stay away. And if they don't, you got to be honest, man. Like, it's 2025 and there's still grown ass men hiding from their women. You know what I'm saying? Ducking and dodging like they getting in trouble by their mother or something. You know. So that's another thing. And she said that he has to get his stuff out of the house. Now I read the comments. Portray. Come on, Becky, we got to get up out of here because I'm moving in with you. Your ish out my house. That's when he knew he fucked up. Let me see. And if it was the other way around, they would, black women be like, let her be. If they were messing with a so-called white man, they'd be like, well, she's a queen. Let her do her business. Leave her alone and all that. She's happy and all that. So, that's hypocritical. It says, yeah, you better hold her hand now because you can't go home no more. He don't look like anything to be fighting over these ladies down bad. Of course they're gonna be hating. They don't even know who this dude is. He could have money. I mean, well, yeah, he lives with her, but shit, he could be stacking too. And he could be getting money from the so-called white woman that he's with. So, they don't, a lot of people don't think, man, about the situation beforehand and what the situation is really about. I got that word. Now, that's a scripture that says, not the usurp authority over the men. I got that word usurp. And it's
Strong's G 831. Authenateo. Authenateo.
Authenateo, an absolute master to govern, exercise dominion over one. And the scripture, we pulled this scripture many times. 1 Timothy 2:12, but I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. And I'm bringing the scripture out because when she has the upper hand, that being her house or crib, whatever apartment, and her name, she does automatically have the upper hand. She automatically has authority, able to kick him out, and he did look really concerned. If you go, back and watch the video, like, damn, I done messed up. To live with the so-called white women is probably not the best situation right now. They usually, especially when you just met her, and usually, the parents, they don't really like Negroes messing with. It depends, but a lot of times they rather their daughter, mess with their own kind. So that's another thing, you know, being honest and being a man and say, handle your own business, making your own money. So you get into mix with these women or meet a woman, she can't. You're not living with her to kick you out, and she can't tell you that you cheating or you don't have to duck her because she know, about your lifestyle. Um, Meaning that you don't want to get attached, you don't want to get married, and they had that saying in the '90s, no strings attached. That pretty much it was done, wasn't done in a spiritual fashion, but it sort of worked better than the people that got married, because this world is backwards anyway. But then let's go. What did I look up again? I looked up, and it said, and it's a scripture also. I'll get that. Give not thy strength to a woman. And I looked up the word strength in the etymology, and it says property of being strong, bodily power, muscular force. And a lot of times too, when a man marries a woman, at first they start off, going to the gym, or you know, they start off the summer fling and it turns into a relationship. And they're both, you know, pretty much um, seem like they're well fit for each other. Even on a physical level, both go, to the gym, work out, eat well. But as time go by, she starts cooking. The man gets, starts to gain weight, and she's cooking fried foods and all that. You know how the woman's diet is: lobster, crab. She eats everything under the sea, literally the bottom feeders, and that's become a luxury meal today. Take a woman out for some crab and lobster, whatever. They have birthday parties and all that. The ratchet, and you think about how many holidays that these women get into, and especially involved in the social feed where they gossip online, and what did your man get you for? Oh, he didn't take you out, girl. I'll leave him. Valentine's Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving with with her family. Uh, what else? Birthdays, anniversaries. The cost of weddings and wedding rings and all that. I mean, that's pretty much old school. I mean, a lot of these things don't happen today because you know people. It's too much. I even saw a video with a woman saying, "Why don't men chase women no more?" And then I've seen a lot of comments from the men saying, that's a waste of time. Why chase something in this? She's not gonna give you the business or give you the time of day. Another one said they learned a lot from Canvas Samuels. That's why they enjoy being single. Um, so it's a costly thing, and it says that in the scripture when a man is married. Let me get that scripture. And marriage is being with that person, laying down with that person, basically, and you're able to have a child. That lets you know sex constitutes marriage. Apostles, elders say it all the time. Anyway, let me get that scripture. Um, um, he that is married cared more for the things of the world. King James version. So it says 1 Corinthians 7. Let me get it. 1. Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman, nevertheless to avoid fornication, lest every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. You know, because it's a lot of adultery, but we can't have more than one wife. A lot of jakes can't handle more than one woman, man. You know, they get into lust and all that. And usually, you know, on a common ground of the subject matter, that's what usually happens with Jake. You know, being not knowing the truth, he usually when he gets deal with another woman is usually the consent of his first woman to do some sexual acts. So a lot of times when Jake, you know, have two women is based on lust, you know, or some experience or something like that, which goes bad. And I'm saying outside of the truth, you know. And it's even to be cautious when you're in the truth, you know. So let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence. Let's see. And it says that, you know, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife have not power of her own body, but the husband, and likewise also the husband had not power of his own body, but the wife. And that doesn't mean the woman is in authority. It says when you have a wife, y'all become one flesh. So, you know, the care for your wife, and, you know, especially with children, um, you know, now, you know, you have to be careful. She has power. Say so. I mean, not, you know, not to observe authority, but in a lot of ways, being tied into that union right there, you know, she has a little bit of power of her own body, even in this world, as far as her rights and all that. I mean, you know, in this world, you know, you gotta ask a woman if she wants to go out or something, or if she, you know, um, consent to, you know, having a sexual relationship or whatever. Um, but you know, there are laws concerning back then concerning a man, you know, taking a woman and having a way with her and paying father shekels. It's a process of the law, you know, but it's, of course, is not expedient today. It's not exercised today. The law, period, is not exercised in this world today. So it wouldn't be a wise thing anyway. But uh, and you know, you build you build a relationship with the woman. So you know, your woman might, you know, your woman will be concerned about where you are. I mean, um, you know, will not just, you know, thinking that I don't have to be thinking that you with another woman. You think about concerning about your safety, you know, and other matters. So, you know, scriptures prove true, saying, like always, you become one flesh. Verse 8, I say, therefore, to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. And to the married I command ye, not I, but the Lord, let not the wife depart from her husband. And it says, if thou not have a wife, seek not a wife. If you have a wife, seek not to be loosed. You know. But and if she depart, let her remain unmarried or reconciled to her husband. Let not the husband put away his wife. And that's not common at all today. When a woman leaves a man today, she'll get with another man the next day. And that's not really, they're married, that's his wife, you know. And even if she becomes a widow, the passing of her husband, she'll still sleep with another man, you know. Even though now it's lawful, but there's, you know, come on, there's a sincerity of departure concerning your husband that a woman's supposed to have to before she even gets married to another man. You know what I'm saying? Because look, a woman, she has a mourning period, you know. So you're gonna tell me that she just, you know, through that morning, through her morning hook up with another man, the next, if a woman is sincerely connected with a man, soulmate, whatever have you, and she's devastated, it might take her 2 or 3 years before, you know, she marry another man, even though it's lawful. So, you know, so it says, you know, it goes into the unbelieving husband, unbelieving wife, but I want to get to that part where it says, how he may please his wife, King James Version. 1 Corinthians 7:33, it says, but he that is married care for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. There is a difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman care for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy, both body and in spirit. But she that is married care for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. So, you know, and really today, women just want to please themselves. They want to take, you know, what the man has and, you know, please, you know, uh, they want the money, they want the house, and especially when it comes to things that that they don't approve. You know, like a man being out too late. Um, you know, a man suspecting a man cheating because he's working late. You know, not enough money. You know, not enough. Uh, you know, exposure as far as taking the courting, they call it, taking her out, you know, fancy dates, fancy restaurants, trips out of state, out of the country, you know. A lot of these women today, they want a man that travels because they want to, you know, they want to be courted, you know, which the escorted and courted pretty much the same thing, you know. Uh, but, you know, when you get caught in situations or, you know, it becomes a predicament, it becomes trouble. And it says men that married have trouble in the flesh, you know, connected by joint accounts and, you know, sharing things together, you know, things that you buy, paying down on a house or whatever, a car. And then when you break up or she wants to leave or you know, it's not working, then it's all kind of costly expenses, man, that breaks you, you know. Um, so it's good to be established first as a man, to make your own money, you know, have your own car, you know, because a lot of these women, they still do that. I mean, they did that in the 90s. They'll let a man live with them, you know, especially if they think he's handsome or, you know, he got qualities that they like. They'll say, well, yeah, and he got a little job. They say, well, you could stay with me and we could build, you know. They still do that today. I don't know if that was a situation with them, but seemed like it would be the case. But and then next thing you know, she tell you to get out, and you have no place to go, and you could live, you try to live with your ex. She don't want you, cause nah, you left me. Remember your mother. You grown, so you don't want to really live with your mother. You know, so like I've had to live with my uncle. Before. You know, wasn't the best situation, but it was better than living with her. You know what I'm saying? Um, or sleeping in the car, or they'll change the locks. You know that was in the '90s, but it still happens today. And it could be grown ass men. 30, 40 years old, and Jake really don't get started. Like I said, into his manhood as far as this society, and where he's making his own money and got a little decent apartment until he's like 30 years old. 30, 35 years old. So, some Jakes start early, but a lot of Jakes they don't have their stuff together, and it's for for reasons of whatever reason it is. Um, and that's really unfortunate, especially if you're a man and maybe you've gotten into some trouble. You try to change your life around, and it affects you. You know, your case affects you. But it's harder in society to where you have to live with a woman, or certain means you have to come up. I mean, and that's the first thing Jake think about. Oh yeah, well we could move in together, but try to hold out. Try to keep your stability somehow. You know, with your money, and it's a hard road. It might be hard at first, but it'll start to turn around. You might have to sleep in your car if you got one. You might have to, you know, if one thing is keep a job. I mean, every man in GMS should have a job, unless he's, you know, on disability or what, receiving money otherwise. But I would still, at least stay active, you know, with this ministry and focus on this ministry, occupied in prophecies. Build your spirit up, allow your spirit to be built up of the Most High. So your focus and your energy and your strength won't be into these women, you know, um, and then to trying to stabilize yourself by what they have, which is now a lot of them on platforms and they get money, and they into media and social media. You don't want to be, you don't want to connect yourself with that kind of relationship, you know. Um, so, you know, um, and then the more you're around a woman, the more you let things go, the more you don't study, the more you know you don't take it serious, the more you think about, well, I might do raise a family, and some brothers do well raising their children. You know what I'm saying? Raising, having a wife and children in the truth. Those are great. That's a great thing. That's a beautiful thing. That's what Most High said. They still have their little trouble in the flesh, but it's definitely not like a 2/3 relationship. So, but especially for the common man, it's like it's going to be really hard. That's why Jake is falling into these situations, man. And now, hey, Jake's be, you know, vice versa, man or other woman. Jake be killing each other these days. I mean, couple wise, man killing his wife, wife killing her husband, and that's running more rapid than ever these days. You know, over cheating, so called whatever cheating or adultery, which is not even talked about today. They want to, nobody lives by biblical standards, so they call it cheating, and nothing's ever structured. So You know, they don't, they don't call it adultery. They just, you messing around and this and that. But it is adultery. But a lot of these women had already been laid down with a man, so that goes without saying, man. But anyway, I mean, it just to be cautious. It says manhood, fortitude, firmness. Oh, your manhood. That's strength. Manhood. You know, and you know how women get dirty, man. They like, if when they break up, man, they be like, yeah, I got another man and he f me better and all that, and your little small ass, having ass ain't shit. They know really how to push buttons on a man. Um, and she might have her new man might have more money. Like I said, it was this one video, two men living with her new man and her ex. Her ex staying with them on a present basis. Like, what the hell is that, man? Like, he still stays with them in the house with her new man in her. I'm like, damn, that's I couldn't imagine that, man. I couldn't imagine that shit. Anyway, and that's the kind of weird shit that's going on today, man. And Jake acting feminine, not being able to handle conversation or carry himself, conduct himself as a man. You know, pants all sagging, ass all out. No real woman's gonna respect it. I don't care if she tell you that she loves you and want to move in. She gonna get tired of that shit, cause she gonna see some real men out there that's that conduct themselves otherwise and say that's what she wants. A lot of these women too, they have men around for play toys. They supposed to be our joy and our pleasure and our play toys, but it's the opposite now these days. And then when a real man comes, they'll get rid of your ass. And I'm not saying that it's always the case, because a lot of women choose, you know, to leave a man for vague reasons. If that's the word for it. You know, they just tired of looking at you, or tired of what I'm saying, or they just the relationship is getting old. Y'all do the same shit every day, live in the same apartment, have the same job. So death do us part. That shit is out the window. It's been out the window. That never really did apply to marriage, even in the common way. It never really was truth to that. So don't live with her, man. Don't give your strength to her. Another strength, another type of strength is your money. And that's what men do. They pay these women money, and there's all kind of scripture in the Apocrypha about not spending uh, your money at the wine with her, and not sit at all with another man's wife. I don't care if you are, Jake be like, nah, that's my homegirl. Nah, don't even fuck around with that shit, man. Stay away from that. Build yourself up in the spirit. You don't know who these women lie today too. They be like, I don't have a man, and next thing you know, the man pulls up and starts shooting at you and shit, man. So you gotta be careful who you f with, and what your situation is when if you do start dealing. But like the apostles always say, stay away from them anyway, man. And like that video, um, who knows what his situation was, but they were the black women were mad on those comments. They don't even know he's happy as he ever been, but the thing is, he still lives with the black woman. So he got to make a decision now, like, and got to talk to if she really wants to kick him out, or he has to be out. Then he has to talk to the other woman and see if she would let him. You know, he just in that bind, man. You know, so you don't want to be. You know, we got love for all the brethren. We don't want them in no binds like that. Any kind of binds, you know. Um, so it's best to, you know, think before you act. Always talking to. We talk to ourselves, you know, before we talk to, you know, examine yourself, you know. Uh, and leave her alone, man. You know, try to shoot for some that's better. These other nations are available too, man. You know, they're moving in too, and in America, it's more for the picking with these other nations. You know, whether it be you know, Samoan women. A lot of them Samoan women, some of them Samoan women are mixed with Latina. They look good, man. Of course, you got Edom. I really never heard of no Edomite woman being a threat or a trouble to Jake. I've never heard of that. You know, you got some of them that are